Welcome back to another video from Graysland. Today we are looking at underneath the TV. We need a display cabinet here for all of our entertainment equipment. And the building projects are slowly coming together, but we need to build something. And this was a rush build, but I'm going to try to get it set up and let you see how it's made. Let's go. Sorry about the bad camera angle here. This was filmed during Christmas time, winter time. And I was just trying to get this stuff off the floor, tons of dust building up on it. And I also have a bunch of video game consoles that I need to store in a cabinet. And so I just got some cheap wood from Lowe's, as cheap as you can get, and still make it look nice without using like plywood or something. And I wanted cabinets on two different sides. One cabinet I wanted to hold the surround sound, DVD player, Blu-ray player, and then the other cabinet I wanted to hold exclusively the video game consoles. Another thing I wanted to do with this cabinet is I want it to be legless. I want it to be able to float, mainly so the Roomba, when it's vacuuming, it can get completely underneath the cabinet and just reduce the amount of dust bunnies that are floating around the room. And I love it. I'm so happy I designed it that way. And it's hard to see in this camera angle, but I have a little bit of a lip on the front side and the two sides, and I have a router I'm going to run through and just give it a nice little decorative lip around the edge, and then a little bit of a trim to stop the doors so they can only shut so far and they don't overstep. With the trim around the doors, it was a little bit of an experiment. What I should have done is create like a box or something that's the exact size of the doors and place them in there and then glue them together to hold them in place. So they're a little bit flimsy at first, but then also to completely cover the doors, you have to be able to have the remote control send its signal through the door even though the door is shut. So you could use a mesh fabric, but I went with a stainless steel mesh from Lowe's, and then I did a bronze spray paint over it. Right here, we're just sanding it down, getting it nice and smooth. And the backing there is to give it a little bit of structural support. But then also it's deep enough in the way the doors are, you're not gonna see the wall in the background anyways. And then also the surround sound is really deep. So I needed every possible inch to make sure it fits inside the cabinet. So this is making the doors I was just talking about. I just kind of clamped them together and glued them and threw a couple of finishing nails in there. I should have had a box frame or something. If you have a tip that you can suggest on making these frames a little bit better so they are more true and they're not guesstimating, I would greatly appreciate some feedback here. I tried these little squiggly nail things that you put in there, but those seem to only work if they're going the same direction as the grain. And so having two 45-degree angles, it doesn't exactly go with the grain. So those didn't really work for this project very well. So ultimately it was just wood glue and a couple finishing nails holding them in place. And it's kind of flimsy at first, but then once you put the metal thing on the back, the mesh metal, it really holds in place and it's pretty rigid. It's not going anywhere. Got to sand down the stamps from the manufacturer. It's already pretty smooth, but it's easier to just get the text off. And then with the routing table, just giving a nice little trim edge on the doors. And then I got the hinges on Amazon. I can put a link below if you're interested in the same hinges. They're bronze hinges. The theme of the house is bronze. And so just kind of fitting everything in place. And I didn't really give myself enough clearance between the two doors. So during certain times of the year when the wood expands, they kind of sit kind of snug. So I need to kind of sand those down a little bit. Kind of. So that's the mesh that I bought from Lowe's before it's spray painted. It does have a fine oil texture on it, and that's probably to keep it from rusting, but spray paint doesn't stick to oil very well. So the solution is use like brake cleaner or carburetor cleaner and just spray that, and it's going to take all the oil off. And then you have to spray paint it when you're done though, otherwise it will rust on you. Unless you're going for the rust look. I guess that would be kind of a cool look to do too. But then here you see I got the router off the table, and now I'm just running it down the sides to give the top a little bit of a pizzazz to it. If you were going to leave it raw without painting the steel, you'd probably have to leave the oil on to keep it from rusting. So another option, I suppose, you could get clear spray paint and just spray paint it clear, putting in more hinges. And then these are like those little L brackets, just to give it some reinforcement so it doesn't just separate from that back main support. So the centerpiece is going to be where the subwoofer and the center speaker goes, because I want that off the floor as well. And the left side will house, well, I've already told you all that, but yeah, that's what the left side will hold. And until the mesh was in place, I just taped it in for a visual so I can know what it's going to look like. Later on, I'll get some black screws to hold it into place, but obviously you want to paint it before you put it on there. So they're just taped into place right now. I had some bonus knobs left over from building the kitchen, so that goes perfect here and kind of gives it a little bit of a connection to make it flow with the kitchen as well. So once you get the tacks in there, the doors are really rigid and they're not so flimsy. I got the doorknobs to match the kitchen, and you can see the little trim at the top. And to mount it by yourself to the wall, since it is floating, you can just get some books or a box. It's just something to set it on temporarily. Get one side in, put a level on the top, and then get the other side to where it's level, and then throw in a couple screws. Make sure you're hitting studs, don't just screw it into the drywall. And I got these little magnets at the top so the door holds shut with the magnet. And I did spray both sides so it's not shiny on the other side. And you can see it fits the Roomba perfectly. We're really happy with this. And I would do it all over again if I had to. But if you have a suggestion on how you think I could have done it better to make it look better, function better, whatever better, I'm all ears. I'm always enjoying some feedback. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.